Hey guys, and welcome to the channel. In this video, we're going to be going over what you can do with Node.js, what Node looks like under the hood, and the event loop that Node uses. I will be leaving timestamps in the description below, along with a link to my website for a written tutorial, so please check those out if you are looking for a particular subject. Also, as I'm trying to build this channel, it would mean a lot if you could like and subscribe for more programming tutorials. Hit the bell icon for extra credit. Now let's go ahead and dive in and see what you can do with Node. Node, first and foremost, allows you to run JavaScript outside of the browser. If you are unfamiliar with JavaScript, previously you could only run it alongside HTML and CSS in the browser. These three languages, JavaScript, HTML, and CSS, are what make up all web pages. Thanks to some very smart people, you can now use JavaScript outside of the browser and on your computer or server. And this brings us to our next point, which is that Node is an open source server environment. A lot of what Node is used for is building servers. This may seem like a daunting task at first, but it is relatively easy, and I will be putting out tutorials on how to create your own, so look forward to those. You can use Node to create dynamic web page content. These are web pages that change based on a user interaction, like clicking a button. An example is a web page that displays different content for each time it's viewed, like a page may change with the time of day. Node allows you to manipulate files on a server or even just on your computer. This may include creating a CSV or watermarking a PDF. You can move files and delete them as well. Running Node on a server can allow it to collect form data. A form is something on a web page that takes user input. An example of this is like a login screen to a web page. The username and password text boxes are form fields. When you click the submit button, then they are encrypted and sent to the server for processing. When you create bigger applications down the line, Node will let you modify data in a database. This includes creating entries, retrieving them, and deleting them. I wanted to take a break from the slides real quick to show you a basic example of what it looks like to run a Node application. I will have a more detailed tutorial that I will link here showing you guys how to do this on your own computer. Here, we are in a program called Visual Studio Code, which, among many other things, is a program that allows us to write and run our Node applications. At the top of the screen, you'll see the area where our JavaScript code goes, and at the bottom is where we run our application. This is a built-in terminal or command line, and often referred to as the console. This top line in green is a comment. In JavaScript, comments are for humans to read and are not read by Node when the application runs. These can be helpful to explain what a certain section of code is doing. This next line is the most basic program you can write in the JavaScript language. Here, we are telling the program to log or print the word hello to the console. And we run it by typing the word node and the file name we want to run in the terminal. So here, we are running file hello.js, which is short for JavaScript. When we run that, it prints the word hello to the console. Node is what is being used to run the application outside of the browser, and JavaScript is the language that we are writing in. Let's go ahead and write our first function in JavaScript. A function is just a named block of code. So here, we are going to write the word function, say hello. We have a parameter called name, and then we start our block with curly braces. Inside of our block, we're going to say console.log, and then we're going to write the word hello space, and then plus name. So this name and this name are the same value. Now, in order to run this function, we have to call it. And we call it by simply saying, say hello, and then we pass it a name. So we'll say hello to Mike. And we save that, and then down here, we'll run our application again. And now you'll see it says hello, which is from this first console log, and then hello Mike. So we can change this to Alex, and we'll say hi to Alex. And so now it says hello Alex. So how a function works is that whenever you call it, your function goes and passes this value that's supplied into the function here. So this is replaced by Alex. Inside this particular function, we're logging to the console the string hello, and then it adds the name that we replace, Alex, to the end of the string. Now that you have a better understanding of what you can do with Node, let's take a high-level overview of how it looks under the hood. The official definition of Node is a JavaScript runtime built on Chrome's V8 JavaScript engine. All this really means is that Node allows us to run JavaScript outside of the browser. Node is asynchronous. Asynchronous programming means that you can let your code do several things at the same time without stopping or blocking your main thread. This leads to a much better user experience because your program doesn't act like it's frozen while waiting for a task to be completed. Next, Node uses an event-driven, non-blocking I/O, or input-output, to make it lightweight and efficient. This ties into it being asynchronous because a Node application never waits for an API to return data unless you specify it. The application moves to the next API after calling the first. When the first receives a response, a notification mechanism of events helps the application handle the response. In order to look more closely at how the event-drivenness of Node works, we need to understand callbacks. A callback is a function, or block of code, that is to be executed after another function has been completed. To put it simply, a callback is something that says, hey, I'm done running this first block of code, you should now run this second block. This can be very handy when we are waiting for a piece of data to be returned, for example. Let's take this information a step further and look at the event loop. We can break down this picture into each step. First, one or more requests are made from your application. These go into the event loop. The event loop is something that Node manages for you. You do not have to worry about how it works if you do not want to. The event loop decides when to send these requests to the thread pool, and as it does, it registers a callback. When it registers a callback, it is basically saying, go fulfill the request and let me know when you're done. All this means is the event loop is registering or asking for a notification to be sent when the task is done. Once the operation is complete, the event loop is notified. The event loop then triggers the callback to be sent to the application that sent the request in the first place. It says, here's the data, or the thing you requested is complete. You should now run whatever was dependent on this information. To better illustrate this, let's walk through an example. Let's say you have a website that displays the weather, but you need to get the weather information or data before you can display it. Your application sets up a request to retrieve that information from another website. This is known as an API call. The event loop receives the request and registers a callback with the thread pool. The thread pool then works to actually go and make that request to get the data. Once it has the weather data, it tells the event loop that operation has been completed and passes the weather information to it. The event loop then triggers the callback and returns the weather information or data to the application that requested it. Your application can now display the weather data it received. A lot of what you are able to do online is thanks to JavaScript and Node servers. Most of the time it happens so fast that when you visit a website, you don't even realize the steps that must be completed before the information you are looking for is displayed. Hopefully this gives you a better understanding of how a piece of the internet works and potential use cases for Node on and offline. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.